the Cherwell pre-sales team uses on a regular basis to load up into demo environments whenever they're explaining customers. So we're very proud of the fact that this is probably the most downloaded and used map that's out there. I've got Eric Beavers talking about some new maps that we just created with customer-based approvals, and I've got Anthony D'Ambrosio talking about one of the bigger maps we've created. It's a category conversion map. So again, I'm going to hand it over to Kara here in just a minute, but if you've got questions that you want to ask, feel free to use your chat window in the bottom left-hand corner, and you can direct those specifically to me. I'm Matthew Peoples. I'm hosting the call, and I will queue those up for questions at the very end or at any time, because we've got a lot of people on today's call. We may not be able to get all those questions answered. You can always email consulting@ampemail.com. We'll be good. So Kara, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you get started.
Thanks, Matthew. Hello, everyone. I'm Kara Kreitzer, and I met quite a few of you at the global conference. I was at the booth, and I was talking a lot about our portal designs, and that's what I'm going to be showing today, my part in this. To get started, I'm going to show you how to implement a portal that we have right now up on the Cherwell Map Exchange. It's free. Anyone can go and download it. So let me share my screen, and we'll get started. You can see my screen now. Wait for Matthew to give me the thumbs up that he can see it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. So what we do, we're going to browse the available maps in here, and if you sort by publisher, all the advanced marketplace maps will come up on top, which is really nice. The one we're going to show today is the self-service portal design. Go ahead and click into it, and you'll see a download option. This is the portal that we're going to implement today. So I'm going to accept and go ahead. Okay. So in my downloads folder, here it is. I'm just going to go ahead and extract it.
We're not seeing that. Are you sharing your whole screen, or are you just sharing your portal?
Good question. Okay, how is this? Can you see it now?
It's back here. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
All right. So in the zip, the folder, there's a PDF that has installation instructions. But since we're on the call today, we're just going to go ahead. Here's the mApp, and I'm going to just copy it onto my share drive so I can get to it when I log into the server. There it is. Okay, so now I'm going to log into our server, which I'm already into, through the Cherwell administrator. I'm going to log into connect to the database. Okay. And on the sidebar, select Maps, apply a map, and then you'll see on the monsters theme that I'm going to be applying. Next, I'm going to agree to the terms, and it'll install. This is just letting me know what I'm implementing, what I'm moving over, and if it's going to overwrite anything. I'm good with all that. Finish. And the next thing I do here is I'm going to save the blueprint. So save, and then I can publish. This will take a few minutes or seconds, really. Okay, it says there were no errors, which is good. And it's published. So next, I log into my site manager, and I'm going to edit. And here in display, right now, This is actually Cherwell 7.0, and it's set to show the out-of-box default portals right now. So on login, I'm going to change that because I want to use the new Monsters portal that I've just implemented. And okay. So if I'd like to view this now in a web browser, this is the portal. So I have to refresh. This is supposed to be really quick and easy, so that was the whole point of this, like how easy it is to. Okay, there we go! Yay! So here's the portal. It's just kind of a fun design that anyone can take and manipulate and change it. Put your logo at the top. If you don't like this little monster guy, I think he's really cute, but I don't know, your CEO might think he's crazy, so you can remove the image, replace him. If you don't like the black background, it's really easy to change it, change the background. All of these buttons here can go to anything really. The text is editable, so you can change the text anywhere. You can really customize this to fit your business. It's really quite simple to make these changes. I'll just show real quick how to manipulate a couple of things real quick. So on the same screen, if you click the name of the dashboard that we set in place there, it actually takes you into the editor. And someone earlier to me said that they didn't like the black background, so I'll just show real quick that you can come up here, change the black background, and I want it to be silver, and now it's silver. So changing this is really, really simple. When it's time to set your links and tell the system where you want each of these buttons to go, it's just a matter of right-clicking on them and setting the widget properties, and then going in here and determining which action you want to happen behind each of the buttons. So basically that's it. It's quite simple. Hitting OK down here saves your changes. Hitting OK here and then refreshing the correct server and going out to the web, you should be able to see those changes really, really quick and simple. And then we have quite a few different portal designs that you guys can feel free to browse. We have a new website called cherwellportals.com. You can just head over there and kind of browse through the designs that we have. And if you have any questions, let us know. Shoot us an email. But basically the idea is that they're really simple. They're really easy to implement, and it should get you up and running if you want to use that out-of-box Cherwell portal. So, okay, that's my presentation.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as you can see there, Kara's got a website up, cherwellportals.com. You can see the portals are out there. We're constantly posting new portals, and you can come in and make changes behind the portals behind these if you've got specific needs that you need as well. So again, if you've got questions, you can feel free to ask questions in your chat session. Just point them directly to me, and I will queue those up at the very end to be asked at the end of our presentation. So Mary Lynn, you are up next. Are you ready?
Yep, sounds good. So, Kara, thank you for that. I think what's really important about what Kara covered too is that a lot of customers are just not happy being stuck with the view of using the dynamic catalog and being sort of trapped in that categorization structure as being what's shown on the portal. And so we have a lot of customers who are asking for these portal designs that allow you to make it user-friendly, and in behind it, set up the links to the right places in the catalog or other areas on Cherwell. So my discussion today, can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So we're going to talk about the standard change library. This is going to be the shortest piece today, but it's also just really the most commonly used one. The business requirement for this mApp is to have some good examples of standard changes in the change management out-of-box Cherwell implementation. And the challenge is that the out-of-box examples, when you load this up, are really lacking. They're very small. They really mimic requests and not changes. And we built this mApp based on many years of enterprise change management implementation experience, not just with Cherwell, because ITIL change management processes are standard across, should be standard across whatever tool you use. The mApp is up on the Map Exchange. I put a little screenshot here of it, the standard change template library. And I'm going to take you into the system to see that, but it loads up so easily because we don't overlay anything that interferes with the Cherwell out of box. I put this on a 601 system. We built this on a 5.0 system, and it just comes along beautifully. And as you can see, what I'm going to show you is that we've come up with some standard changes, and we also templatize that. I'm not sure if that's a word, but we've provided standard wording for the description, for the priority, for the service, and the owned by team, and I'll show you that as well. So change management in Cherwell, as in ITIL, there are 3 different standard types of changes: normal, standard, and emergency. Normal and emergency have a heavier footprint because they do introduce risk into the environment, and usually there are multiple approvals that are required for those. Standard changes don't have that footprint of multiple approvals or any approvals. Standard changes have been shown to be not invasive or risky to the environment. And so technicians are enabled and empowered to go ahead and at least log a standard change, but out of box there are no approvals. So if there's no approvals and that empowerment is there, you really should limit the types of things that can be categorized as standard change and not leave that decision to the technician who's doing that. So when I go into open up a change request, ask what type of change type I want. And here's our normal, emergency, and standard. And I can pick standard here if I want, but I'm going to show you this apply standard change template. Now before I do that, you can see here are the ones that were out of box, these first 3. Hardware install, patch install, and it has a couple of entries. And all of these are really super lightweight. They're really more like requests than they are changes. But when we apply the standard change template, I am brought to a prompt that asks me which is the type of standard change that I want to implement. Now, we put a bunch of them in here based on our experience with standard changes, but we've also made this very easy to change. So I'm going to go ahead and pick one that is a backup a database, for example. And you can see that what it did was it populated the item that I picked. It has mapped to it the service, the importance. It has the start of a description, so you can have some standardized text that's there. It populated the priority, and it also populated the team that's going to own that change. And so it's just a really good starter pack for any new implementation of change management to get an idea of some of the things that might really fit into a standard change management mentality. And to manage this, you just go into the table management area. It's under standard change library. It has them listed, and you can either create a new one if you want, or you can go in and edit the ones that are available and decide what you want the owned by team is, the service, or what the description is as well. So that's really all there is to this map, but it gives you a really nice start for standard change library with some templates involved and a non-invasive map to go along with that. So that's it for mine, Matthew.
Thank you, Mary Lynn. Eric, you're up next. Going to talk about your new map that was created on customer-based approvals. I know this is one of the ones that we hear on a regular basis of getting customers involved in doing approvals when they're needed. So, Eric.
Yep. Alrighty. I'll share my screen here. Share desktop. And should be seeing a PowerPoint presentation. Yes, we are.
I think it's coming. Yep.
All right, sounds good. All right, so as mentioned, I'm going to go over the customer-based approvals. So the business requirement for this is that it allows customers to be part of the approval process, but more specifically, it allows us to utilize the out-of-the-box Cherwell approvals engine, such as the voting process, your 50% approval, your 2 people approve, everybody approve. The out-of-the-box Cherwell approvals only allows you to utilize licensed users. We've started to see more requests around UAT testing, for example, in like an SDLC or software development lifecycle, where you may have a group of customers who are your UAT testers. You know, they would need to approve, but the out-of-the-box does not allow you to do a percentage-based approval. The most common way right now to allow customers to vote is through email. So using the email monitor, you send an email out, they respond approved, that gets processed, and you move forward. But again, you don't have that voting capability. So this mApp adds the customer-based approvals to the out-of-the-box approval engine, so you can utilize that voting. We also allow the approvals to be done via the portal. So your customers can log into your portal. They can go through, see the list of approvals, click through them, and approve via that portal. A little more details on the mApp is that it does overwrite your existing approval form. We don't remove any fields, we just add, but we do change the look of it, which we'll take a look at in just a minute. But it adds a customer and technician toggle button. So it's just a radio button that shows fields based on visibility, whether or not it's a customer versus a technician. There is some additional configurations that are needed. So because the approvals engine is only licensed users, you do have to create these approvals manually. And by manually, you can do it via one-step or do an automation process that monitors new tickets that are created or certain life cycle or certain points in a life cycle of a ticket, that those approvals are created via the automation in a one-step. So by manually, you can still automate it, but it has to be done in that way. You also, to allow the approvals to be done via the portal, you do need to edit the security group, because out-of-the-box security does not allow customers access to the approvals, but very easy to change. And then you would need to create either a dashboard or a widget that lists out the approvals for that user that is currently logged in. All right, so we'll go ahead and take a look at the system. We're going to look at an example of the one-step. So we'll look at the orange client, the admin client. We'll look into a ticket, and then we'll finish up in the portal. We'll show creating an approval, approving it, and seeing that updated. Okay, so currently in the orange client or admin client within Cherwell. So this is the approval form that gets implemented with this mApp. We see we have approver name, and this is actually a stacked field. We did label this. This label does not show within the client. This is only within the admin client here that you see this stacked field, so we have visibility on it, just to help you know that it is stacked once you apply it. The customer and technician, that's what kicks off our visibility rule, whether or not we see technicians versus customers within the drop-down. The fields here on the left-hand side that get added are the customer approver email, ID, and name. So this is what holds the information for the customers. They're also configured to allow that portal approval process to take place by setting the necessary system variables within these fields. So I'm going to jump over to the blue client here. All right, so I have this open request. So it's a request for a new computer. They're requesting this iMac. And ideally, as before, we would kick off this approval via an automation process. But I'm just going to show you by running a one-step manually the approval that gets created. So I'm going to go up to One Step Manager. And before we run it, we'll take you through the one step that I'm utilizing. So we're creating a child business object. So we're within an incident creating that child of an approval, which we set here. And only show set field. So we're setting the approval type. So this is that radio button we saw on the admin side. It gets set to customer. So we can set the customer approver. I'm pulling in the customer manager. So this could be a universal type one step that whoever requests a new computer, their manager is automatically the approver. That way we don't have to set it per user. It's dynamic. And then we're pulling in the details. So I'm setting the manager approval, please approve, pulling in the specifics computer product. So that's that drop-down field that had the iMac in it. Pulling in the full name and then the incident ID. So hit OK, and then we'll run it. So it runs, and we have the approval gets populated here. So pull this up. We see Lucas is the manager for Kate there. So he automatically gets populated within the approver name. We have the customer radio button that sets that. So if I were to hit technician, you'll see that the visibility pops up for the technician. So, this is now full of technicians compared to the other one, which is full of customers. So again, we have Lucas. We see our details here. It pulls in the information off of our specifics form. So I'm going to jump over to the portal side here. I'm going to log in as Lucas. Okay. So I did customize this by adding the My Approvals. So again, you need to add either a dashboard or a widget. So I'm logged in as the manager for Kate. I click My Approvals. And I see the approval that we just created. So I can open it up. And let's say I want to see more information around this request. Because I am logged in as a manager to the requester, I do have that ability in out-of-box Cherwell to bring up their tickets. So I'm going to look the requester ID. I'm just going to copy that. Come over here to incident, because we're in the incident object. Paste that in and press go. And I now pull back that incident ID. So I can click on this. And I can review Kate's request that she submitted and see if I really do want to approve this or not. So I have my specifics form down here in the bottom, so I can review everything that was entered, any descriptions, comments, any of that information around this request. So if I do approve this request, I want to go ahead and approve it. I can come in here at the top. So I also added into the toolbar the My Approvals. So this goes directly to the page within the portal. So I can open this back up, go ahead and edit this. Now I made these read-only, so that way the person that's approving this cannot change the approver, team, deadlines, the radio buttons that switches it, just to kind of lock down the approval itself. So I can come in, approve, deny, or abstain. I'm going to go ahead and approve it. So it's been approved. I'll save it. And we'll jump back to the blue client. And we see it's still waiting because I haven't refreshed anything. So I'm going to refresh, not save it because I made some changes there. So I click no. And we now see it's been approved. So its status is approved by Lucas on 10/8/2015. On the back end, we do have the approvals engine that can be utilized. So based on the approved, disapproved, abstained, we can run one steps against this ticket. Maybe we want to create tasks to assign to other people. We now have that flexibility of doing that through the Cherwell approval engine that you get out of the box. And that is all for me.
Excellent. Thank you, Eric. Again, just as a reminder, if you've got questions, feel free to direct those questions specifically to me down in the chat section. Just select Matthew Peoples as who you're pointing the chat to, and I'll queue up the questions. I've got quite a few that have come in already. Anthony, you are up next talking about category conversions.
So while he's queuing up here, you know I can't go without saying something, Anthony. So this category Re-Categorization mApp is a really interesting one. It's not a piece of cake to demo, so this is going to be mostly PowerPoint. And it's not a magic bullet. It's not just click this button and all of your historical data and your categorization tables are changed. But this has become one of the most important topics as we go out and start to implement phase 2 and phase 3 areas for customers, because categorization, and if you're wincing, you understand, is one of the most difficult areas during the requirements sessions to determine what you want to land on. And you do have to land on something, and sometimes it takes weeks, and you may not be thrilled with it. And there's no reason that you have to live with that. So we've had a number of customers say, you know, we were so naive before. We thought we had this right. We thought it looked good. And gosh, it's not giving us good reports. It's really difficult for customers to understand what we're talking about. Our technicians don't understand what a service is. We really want to change that. And so what Anthony and Brandon have put together here is part map and part process to allow you to modify the historical transactional information for your categories as well as update the tables. So there you go, Anthony.
And thank you very much for the introduction, Marilyn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as Marilyn explained, you know, we are finding that most organizations are having a challenge with when they have their initial implementation done, and as they mature, that the categorization structure that they chose may not be ideal moving forward. So as the company matures, they may want to remap some of the category structure. They may want to change a service, a category, or a subcategory. So the mApp has a few pieces to it, and it's very simple to use, but it does require some manual work. So what the mApp does is it creates a table within Cherwell, okay, and everything is new, so it doesn't overwrite anything. So the new tables and new one-steps won't overwrite anything existing. It creates a new table to store the historical categorization list and also to store the new categorization list. It then requires you to do is update your service table, your category table, and your subcategory table. After those are complete, you would run a one-step, and that one-step what it'll do is it'll actually look at those tables and update all the historical data and any of the new transactions that you have in Cherwell. Okay. So you can easily clean up your categorization in 3 steps. So first, you just need to define your new categorization and then map it to your historical data. The next piece you need to do is import all that into Cherwell and then execute the one step. Okay. So what does it look like? So we provide the Excel worksheets and some samples to do the import. So as you see, we have a service name, a category name, a subcategory name, and an incident type for the old values from columns A to D. And then from columns E to H, it lists the new names and what the mappings would be. So I would be changing hardware to workstation management. I'll be changing desktop phone. I'll be keeping desktop phone. And then I'll be changing it from add purchase to add purchase and replace. You also have the ability to change it from an incident to a service request if you did need to do that. Okay. The import will need to be run a few times, 4 times in total. You'll have to do the new services, the new categories, and the new subcategories. Okay. To run the import, what you would do is you would go into the Cherwell Orange client, and you would run a one-off data import. And this would need to be run for the master category conversion sheet, the service sheet, the category, and the subcategory. And this will update all your new definitions. Okay. Once you've completed that, what you would need to do is now run the one step that will actually convert to categories. And what this does is it goes out to the master list, looks at all the historical transactions, the incidents that you have logged, and it stores the old value and then overwrites it with the new value. Once you've completed that, which you can run as a scheduled service, you can then verify if all this is been done completely, is by running these 2 search manager searches. So the first one you can run is to see what incidents have actually been converted to the new categories and any incidents that have not been updated to the new categories. Now, what can stop a category from being converted is maybe it wasn't included in your list or something hasn't been named correctly. So you're able to see how many transactions are still pending and go back and make your correction. Okay? And that's the end of my slide.
Excellent.
Thank you, Anthony. So we've got some questions that have come up, and I'm actually going to start with Preston's that's just popped in there. Anthony, it's going to be back to what you're doing there. Can the categorization be kept separate between incident, problem, and change? Anthony or Mary Lynn, can you answer that?
Yes. The categorization that we have for this mApp is strictly focusing on incident management. It's not addressing problem or change. You would have to modify the conversion table to handle problem or change.
So today, the map, if they were to download the map, Anthony, it is focused on incident only. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, good question. Thank you. So as a reminder, you've got an option down there in the chat window that you can ask questions. If you'll point those directly to me, there's a drop-down. You can select my name, Matthew Peoples. I've got quite a few that have done that. I've got questions here to ask. And in case, because we're close, we've got about 5 minutes, we're going to wrap up this presentation today. If we don't get through all the questions and you want to be sure yours is answered, you can always email consulting@ampemail.com, and that will get to us as well. I'm going to bring up this last slide here because I know there's been a lot of questions around getting these maps. I've had several people ask how do they get these. You can get them through the Cherwell portal where you can, or the Cherwell Map Exchange is one place that you can get them. Or if you go to advancedmarketplace.com/maps is where you can see a list of our maps there as well. So another question that came in, and Mary Lynn, since you manage the team of consultants, I'm going to point these to you and let you either answer them or hand them off to someone else. This was partly answered earlier, but I think maybe the person that asked this question joined late. Are our maps supported by different versions? And so Mary Lynn, I know when you were talking about the library, that was created on 5, we've tested on 6, we tested on 7. So I'm assuming that your answer is going to be is all of our maps are tested on every version when they come out. But what, you got any comments to that?
Yeah, I think it's sort of two pieces. Yes, we tested on each of the versions that comes out. And because of the way that Cherwell manages their upgrades and how the foundation, how the application is not touched during those upgrades, it stays really pretty simple for there not to be any conflicts. But the way the maps are applied, it will identify anything that maybe came in new. I think one day we had one where we had a duplicate on a shortcut. And those are all identified really easily as well. So yes, we do test them across the different versions. That doesn't take into account any, customizations done at the customer side, but the installation of the map automatically does that bounce against the mApp and the customer application, and will spit out a really nice report of the things that may be in conflict, so you can decide what to do at that point.
Excellent. Good answer. Thank you. So another question we've got here, Mary Lynn, is talking about changing maps. So if someone was to download one of our maps, and this came up when Eric was doing the customer approval, and they wanted to make a modification, that map works, but they want to tweak it. There's nothing that's locking down the maps. Once they've got them, they can make customizations or add to them to extend them more specific to their needs. Is that correct?
That is correct, and if you do something really cool, let us know.
Exactly. Or to the flip side of that, Mary Lynn, if they've downloaded a map and they want to make a customization tweak, probably the best thing to do is to email consulting@ampemail.com. Does that sound good, Mary Lynn, to reach us to ask?
Yep. Yeah, if there's any questions at all, just drop us an email.
Yeah, so next question, Kara, I know that you get this question on a regular basis. We hear this a lot the last couple of versions, and now that 7.0 is close to being released, you're going to come around again. What type of responsiveness, in making the portal design, if you've got a mobile browser and you want to have a responsive portal, has anything changed with Cherwell? So, Kara, I'm going to point that one to you because I know you've seen that quite a few times before.
Right. Unfortunately, Cherwell portals are not responsive. So I take that into consideration when I'm designing them. If you're going to try to look at it on a mobile phone, could be dicey. So right now it doesn't support any responsiveness, but hopefully they heard us at the global conference because everyone was talking about it. So hopefully in a future update they will address that.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Kara. So for those of y'all that may not understand what responsive means, this isn't a performance-based, how responsive is the portal and being slow or fast. Responsive, Kara, tell me if I'm getting this wrong, this is how it's presented on the display. So compared to resolution in a larger display or a tablet or a mobile phone, responsive would adjust accordingly based off of what device you're looking on. Is that the right way to say that?
Exactly.
Yep.
The graphics, the images won't expand if you're on a larger monitor. If you're on a mobile device, it may or may not render properly.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent. So test. Is that the right way to say that, Kara?
Yep. If it doesn't look right, what I've had other customers do is they actually walked around, took a look at everyone's monitors, and they got back with me with what is the most commonly used monitor size in their office, and then I designed for that. So.
Good. Okay. So the next one I actually can answer, was this webinar recorded? The answer to that is yes. We have recorded today's webinar, and if you would like access to that webinar to share with others in your organization, you can email myself directly at mpeoples@ampemail.com, or you can use the consulting at ampemail.com to get to that as well, and we can be sure to get that out to you. Mary Lynn, I'm going to go back to you with this one. When is version 7 released? Has it been released yet, GA, for anyone to download, or do we know when that's going to happen?
Well, I know that we have it. Eric, is it GA or is it just still in a limited? Do you know?
I don't believe it is out in the general public at this point.
Can we do that as a follow-up then, too? I know that we have it.
Let's follow. I believe it's actually going to be GA on Monday, but we will send out an email with information on that. And I've got 2 questions that came in. I guess people that attended are what's new in 6.0 presentation we did right before the global conference. Are we going to offer a what's new in 7 document and presentation? So Mary Lynn, I'm coming to you for that one. Are we working on that as well?
Well, I don't know why you're asking me. You already put that on my to-do list, so yes.
I was giving you the opportunity to acknowledge that. Thank you, Mary Lynn. So, Mary Lynn, on this next one, I think is in general. They asked it during Eric's customer approval, but it was when he was presenting what they were talking, I think, about your library. Are customers using any of our maps today, and are we getting feedback? So I know that the categorization one, we've got customers using that today, correct, Mary Lynn?
Yeah, in fact, it was most of our best map ideas come from existing customers and something that we've had to solve more than once. So
yeah,
the answer is yes, because it's created from a customer-based requirement for sure, and the standard library is used extensively by the Cherwell pre-sales organization.
Excellent, good, okay, and then. So, Mary Lynn, the only one I think that is not being used today is Eric's customer approval, because that actually just went live yesterday. But I'm assuming everything else we talked about today are all production customers are using on environments. Does that sound correct?
Well, yeah, except that one is being used too. We just didn't map it. So if you're talking about the functionality, that's already in use. We just sometimes lag for a month or so on getting it mapped up.
So, Marilyn, when you were talking earlier, when Anthony was getting ready, this question came in. Anthony somewhat answered it, but I want to go back and ask it again just in case there's still some confusion. You were talking about our Re-Categorization map and what it does. The question actually came in is, why would you want to recategorize? And then Anthony talked and gave a little bit of that. So there may be still some confusion. So can you take a quick 15 seconds and talk through why customers would need to recategorize?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a tough decision to make because there are a lot of things that hinge on your categorization, like what specific forms are going to be rendered, what your reports look like, what your auto assignment is going to be. And we've had customers struggle, especially around the application area, of what they wanted that to look like. And especially before we came up with these new portal designs, your categorization and your dynamic view of the service catalog out on the portal was 100% tied to your categorization structure. And so a lot of times people compromised in what they put up there. And there was always a balance between what does the customer understand for service and what does my service desk understand when a call comes in and how to categorize that. We've had some people who couldn't figure out initially what to do with all of their applications, and they became categories. So in some cases we had a service with 70 categories and then subcategories, and this was way back when. And that's just not a good way to do it. And so they've seen the reports they're getting out, they've reevaluated how easy the tool is to use, and they've come up with some new portal designs that allow them to optimize what that categorization is now. And it's not easy to change, just to change it in the table, because now you want your historical data to be updated as well, so your year-to-date reports are current, et cetera.
Excellent.
So I'll be glad to talk about that, if anybody else has questions around that on a separate call, for sure.
Yes, we had several that's asked questions around how to use that, and I think there's been some real interest in that, maybe solving real problems that several customers have been trying to figure out how to do. So let me look at my list here. Did I miss any questions? I think that's everything. So thank you, everyone, for attending today's call. Sorry for the problems that we had earlier today with bridge lines and people getting connected. We've had to increase several times our bridge line capacity. The more Cherwell customers, and as you saw at the global conference, Cherwell is definitely growing, and more customers. We've had a lot of people join these types of calls, and it's always good as the president of the company to hear when we're adding value. So if you attended today's call and would like to shoot me a quick email with, hey, this was great, or it sure would be good if you asked this question or answered this question, feel free to do so. Again, you can reach me at mpeeples, and that's PEEPLES @ampemail.com. Thank you, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you again next month with our next version of Cherwell conference call. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.